it happens. Oh, we're on. Joey, how are you? Welcome back. Welcome back, matey, to
Hey,
Holistic Health and
great to
Anxiety
be here.
Talks. And also Anxiety Talks podcast. So welcome back, my friend. Hey, how's everything? How's the sleeping going? I could use some more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it fluctuates, as some nights are later than others, but I definitely notice the difference when I do, get up earlier. It puts you in a much more positive frame of mind for the day
Mm.
if you can, get an early start. So still working on it, getting it, in a consistent pattern, but it's getting better.
Yeah, cool, cool. Hey, I guess the other reason we're together today is because I really needed you to tell me what's changed and what's happened in the last. I think we were together like last month or something.
hmm
Yeah, where last we had
Yeah,
a last podcast about talking about sleep and strategies for sleep and what's happening in your life? What do you want to share like in the last month or so?
yeah, that's a great question. So, last week of August went on really well. It was kind of hectic, but enjoyable at the same time. It was a hiking trip. We went out to Washington State. So
Yeah.
definitely a lot of challenging hikes, and it was a good time and a good challenge mentally as well as physically, and just to get away, be in nature. But lots of very early rising mornings, didn't get a whole lot of sleep the whole week, but overall good time. But yeah, I came back to the East Coast, and next few weeks were kind of rough, going back and forth in my relationship
Mhm.
with my girlfriend, and you know, um, had some disagreements, and ended up deciding it would be best to part ways.
Yeah.
So that's been tough. I mean, we've been together for about a year.
Mhm.
So starting out was more long distance, and then we I moved closer to you know close that gap between us, that distance gap. But yeah, it's been tough, but I feel a lot better than I was before, and time definitely, even a week or two,
Mhm.
makes whole lot of difference with overcoming that,
Mhm.
uh, just this general sadness of breakup.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So, did you find, I mean, um, do you have a grounding on what happened and do you understand, you know, did, for you, did you understand what happens in a relationship, like the psychology behind it? Did you
Yeah,
realize that?
so
Reflect on that?
it was, I think we were at a point where we weren't on the same page per se, or she was was looking for a bit more, and I definitely have room for improvements as far as spending, making more time together,
Mhm.
throughout the week and whatnot. And you know I think we may have grown apart a little bit, or the there were a few factors that would, I don't want to make it into a long story, but
Yeah, that's
uh
cool.
yeah, I think I have room to grow, so there's that. And then you know
Mhm.
so I think that was a big part of it. She wasn't seeing for me what she wanted in the relationship, and you know um yeah, it's that's essentially what it came down to.
Hmm.
you know. But we're still friends.
Cool.
We're still, on good terms, so nothing didn't leave disrespectfully or,
Mm.
left on good terms. So that I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that sounds very, very cool. I mean, to be amicable and to come to terms with it. And but what did you if you to name two things, like what did you actually, in short form, what did you actually learn from that? I mean, 1 year relationship, you said, yeah, I don't want to say too much, but what did you learn in that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think we originally connected because we had a lot in common.
Hmm.
We both love the outdoors, hiking, and
Yeah.
we both have family that came from the same country originally, so that was kind of similar ancestries. That was interesting, and things like that where commonalities, and we definitely shared our faith. That was a big one. So we had that common ground originally, which I think brought was a big determinator in bringing us together. But also, it got to a point where we weren't on the same page. I think we're both kind of looking for something. She's kind of ready to settle down. I'm kind of like antsy, like I want to, you know, um, I don't want to. Yeah, I think maybe I'm not ready for something as committed. Part of me, I like to be nomadic and kind of travel around, and I don't necessarily like the idea of, moving to one place and having to stay there for a very long time. Um, which I have, like I was, I grew up in the same town and finally got out about I mean, back in April really is when I
Hmm.
made the jump from my hometown. Though we did, when I was younger, we did live in, close to New York City on Long Island, and
Hmm.
but uh, but yeah, it was a jump for me, and I think there's part of me that
Hmm.
I still want that the freedom of being single, but as well as the it is nice to be in a relationship because you have that sense of security.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, I think there was a little. She was looking for someone who's ready to be a little more settled and uh, kind of ready to stay in one place.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it there. Is there anything else or?
I think that was a big portion of it. We just weren't really on the same page, and she wasn't really seeing getting what she was looking for in the relationship, and I think I have more room to grow as well as just in my own personal growth. So I think it was a sign that, hey, maybe it's time to do more personal work, more work on myself and becoming a better version of myself.
Mhm.
And when the time is right, you know, another relationship will be initiated, or find the right time to.
Yeah, I think it's the right timing for you. That's what I'm gathering. It's like, are you ready to take that? That's a lot of thing. That's a biggie. That's very, very yeah, some people want to settle in, some people don't want to settle in. And you got to be authentic with yourself. Am I ready for that? A lot of people just jump into a relationship, but they're not really analyze like you've analyzed it in detail. That
Mhm,
you just you just come out of a town and then you want to find out what else is out there. You know,
mhm,
and I guess I'm gathering that you need more time just to solve it. And some people are more direct and they know exactly what they want. I
mhm,
want this now, and it's a now kind of thing. where yeah, like I understand, like to capture your man. I don't know where I'm going with this, but you know,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that is something she said, I want to be with someone who knows what they want.
yes,
And I think there is part of me, I have a good sense of it, but I also want room for spontaneous, moves. So if I want to get up and move across the country or something, I want the freedom to do that. So, and she's looking for something more settled and staying in one place and I don't think I'm ready for that yet. So,
you got a little bit of travel to do internally.
yeah,
No,
I think so.
yeah, I get that. I get that. So, what was the relationship for you like there? Like, what did you find out about your relationship apart from that factor of different wants and expectations, right? What else did you discover about yourselves or
Yeah, we did talk about, love languages while we are in the relationship. And, I don't know, there's a certain book on,
of that book?
or yeah, on and hers, she would always say, said it was quality time. And,
Yeah.
one thing that she brought up is she wanted to spend more time together. So I did, make an effort towards that,
Mhm.
which I think she was happy with that, at a certain point. But you know, she was still wanting someone who was a little more settled. Like I'm kind of starting in a new career path and things like that. So, she's kind of looking for someone who's a little more, ready to settle down and spend, you know,
Mhm. Are you guys the same age roughly, or what's the
she's actually a couple years older. So,
so she's got a timeline she's working with, or that's what normally happens. Uh,
hmm
yeah, I get that. I get that. So time's important, and yeah, so quality time, and yeah, so it's good that you discovered each other's. I like that, the love languages, what she responds to and what you respond to, and it's really important. I kind of wish I did that, had that book in
yeah,
my days.
I
Uh,
think they have a lot more psychology and studies around these days, so it does make it a little more, accessible. Some years ago they didn't have as many, all the self-help books and and some of that is just, sometimes less is more, but you know,
yeah, yeah.
it's helpful.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm glad you brought that book out. I think it's yeah, we should understand each other a little bit more. Then we wouldn't I guess it's all that decision making and saving time, you know.
hmm
I think I there's in my days it was a bit different. We just had to fall through the cracks and see how we went. We didn't have that reasoning, you know, to
Right.
understanding ourselves, and we were too involved in chasing things. And depends on your makeup, I guess. It depends on your own psychology, your own psyche. But I'm thinking this so it's yeah, so there's a commitment involved. I understand that. But you just fell through it. And yeah, business can get you in trouble, especially running around for businesses, and you forget about the quality of relationships
hmm
because you're chasing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easier
Mhm.
to focus on other things and get distracted, and then at that point you're already in trouble. So it's
Yeah.
easy to kind of get off track from your priorities sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah. So would you consider yourself as a rigid person, like um, disciplined, rigid?
I do like having structure, but also the freedom to, I like the idea of having the freedom to, I would consider myself more a minimalist, I would say. So I like the idea of, being able to pack everything up, and if I need to go somewhere,
Mhm.
I'm ready. I like the idea of being agile and ready to hit the road at any point.
Hey,
um, so I
okay.
like that idea of spontaneity, having that spontaneity. Not sure
Uh-huh.
if I'm saying that right, but
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah, totally.
having this,
Hmm.
yeah, having the structure, but having the capacity to be spontaneous as well. I think that's where I'm at.
So which one are you more at? The abstract kind of mind thinking or the direct discipline
I would
structure?
s- I
Where are you?
would say I'm a bit more abstract and visionary, but I'm making an effort to make myself a little more, I do like the idea of rigidity and discipline, but I don't think I'm that person by nature. I think I'm kind of trying to, it's a work in progress, but I'm more of the daydreamer, the visionary. It's easy to, you know, create this big picture in my mind, but um I haven't always been the one to execute with consistent disciplined action, and that's where I'm working. That's what I'm working on most, because I think I have the visionary kind of big picture
Mm.
aspect down, and now it's just okay, let's make it a reality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, look, when in my 30s, I used to, that's what stopped me for staying with a particular career for too long. Because
Mm,
I I was always chasing a bigger thing, and wasn't settled until I got that bigger thing. I was always
mm,
moving around, so um, always moving around. I think that's I think if I personally stuck with something, I would have maybe made something better of it. But because
mhm,
dreams and I think the ego plays a lot today. Actually, I have a book. I have a book. I've got a great book to refer
mhm.
to yourself. I think this one's called by Ryan Holiday. Great book. I don't know if you can see
Oh,
that.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
The enemy. Yeah, I've read all that book. I loved it. But we do have it goes through areas of like first we feel like an aspiration. And
Hmm.
my story was that I got aspired, I had a job, I had a good job, but I moved out from it because I got aspired to do something better. I wanted my own business. I wanted to be the man.
Hmm.
So, and then I moved from that job and got something else closer to what I was expecting to get, and I went into the area of self-employment.
Mm.
Because self-employment isn't what people think it is.
Yeah.
Move out of the financial quadrant and so on. But the ego was driving me to, feel the aspiration, feel the success, of something.
Hmm.
Then it just dropped me naturally, So there's a cycle. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
the cycle of the ego. So
Mm.
I think when we're talking about relationship, there is a cycle there, you know. So you have this aspire to keep a relationship. Doesn't matter what it is, business, relationship, whatever. I'm feeling like there's this aspire to have a relationship. There's this that you feel success, you feel connected, right? The natural thing that actually happens. You can't stop it's phenomenon. And obviously the ego is going to play tricks and trying to whatever it is, it seeds ideas and then it tries to no matter what it is, relationship, business, there's always like you get to that point, and then there's a down point, like a graph,
Right.
just a natural phenomenon. It's just like how we handle, the falls.
Hmm.
How resilient are we to the falls? We had that experience before, right?
Hmm.
So I'm feeling like, how is it for you when, yeah, to lose? I mean, you're very fond of, for you to feel like that, you're very fond of the lady. So what was your feelings on that? Uh,
Hmm.
I know you're a sleep therapist, and what was it like for you? That you had this,
Yeah,
you had that
yeah,
inspiration,
eh,
the fail of a
you know,
relationship cycle.
I think, yeah, I mean, there was a certain, uh, I was at peace in a way for going our separate ways,
Mhm.
but there's also a definitely a sadness there, of course, because we spent some, last year, about a year together, and some of that was long distance until we closed the distance gap. But going on our hiking trips together, we built a bond over that. So and when you share a lot in common, it's tough because you feel like we could have been closer, that's for sure. I don't think we were as close as we could have been, but there was, a level of a bond that was created. So
Yeah.
obviously that's going to be painful when you step away from, being in an official relationship, but we're still on friendly terms, so that's helpful. We wish the best for each other, and you know,
Hmm.
I look forward to, seeing her be successful, and if it's in the books, then finding someone who's more suited
Mm.
to for her at where she is in life and what stage she's at. I think we were meant to be together, for the time we were together, and then it was time to move to the next part of the journey, So
Hmm.
definitely, it was mixed feelings. It was uh, sh- there was definitely I think some issues she has to work out with her family as well, because there I think there was some mistrust, or she's the youngest of her family. So I think we talked about moving. I moved to the state where she's at just to close the distance gap, but we talked about moving to another state, and her uh, mother in particular was not a fan of that and had some mistrust, I think, towards me, or towards the whole, or there's some maybe some codependency that she has, or attachment that she has with her
Hmm. I get
her
that.
her mother. So um, I did bring that up to her, to where, hey, you want to make sure, obviously it's good to have a healthy relationship with your parents, but you want to make sure you're not in a codependent state, where you feel like you can't. But she was fine with moving away, but I think it's the fact that she's the youngest and the last to kind of leave town. Her mom was not happy about that idea, and
Yeah.
then I think there's some accusations and mistrust came out against me, and that
Mm.
definitely didn't help the relationship. At that point, I was kind of ready to just, hey, this isn't working out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So ready to kind of move on at that point.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes you can get moms or dads, they really like I'm trying to come up with here in relationships, they overbearing mums, overbearing fathers,
Hmm.
which is interesting. And it comes from the lack of confidence, or controlling a
Hmm.
relationship. And yeah, it does affect the other person, the other side of that relationship, you know,
Hmm.
out of that unit, family unit. So yeah, I guess she was having a relationship with the daughter. Maybe she wasn't getting enough attention from the father and mother, father kind of thing. But that happens. You saw that. It's good. You
Hmm.
you saw that. You went into the psychology, and you did. I think before you get deeper into it, you always should meet the parents a few times. Mom, what?
Yeah.
and
Yeah, absolutely.
if they drop down their guard and they drop down a mask, you'll find out what they're really like. But that takes like some time to live with them, to understand them really.
Right.
You can never fully understand them, and then you got to make that decision. The girl I'm with, or, my partner, they're just a blueprint of them
Hmm.
kind of thing. So that's kind of deep stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So what else? What else? So okay. So do you know what trauma bonding is?
Say that again.
Trauma bonds. Ever heard of that?
Trauma bonds.
Trauma bonding. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds familiar. You
Hmm.
could break it down. That would help.
Yeah. Look, when we are in relationships, and what's going to happen is that we're going to trauma bond, which means that we come in with a blueprint, which means that depending on the structure of your family background, was it well
Hmm.
nurtured? Was it like was it disturbed? Was it does it come from abandonment? Does it come from you know as it's all this psychology thing? It's like what was seeded in you like as a child, and it's like always going with the familiar,
Mm.
into the familiar. Like um, you might be used to having a traumatic experience at home, right? And that becomes a normal to you.
Hmm.
And then you find this person, they've got a different structure, mental structure, and
Hmm.
they're different, or they can actually become so similar, which is even worse, right?
Mm.
Opposite attract is maybe not a nice way, but it's like unless we understand trauma bonds in relationships, they can really muck us up. Like
Mm.
we might come from an unsettled family, or there's some feud going on. You don't know what's behind it in someone's house, right? You'll never know.
Right.
We're always hiding that factor from people, right? We're different when we went into the exit the house. So we could be trauma bonding and not realizing that we're actually doing it. Like it's what's what it might be like conflicting, fighting, all this kind of thing, but that's kind of normal to us because we're so resilient of it. And
Hmm.
when two people are together, they trauma bond and cause a lot of friction, a lot of anger, a lot of resent, right?
Mm.
Because they don't know that actually they're trauma bonding.
Mm.
They're coming in and you see, let's say someone comes into is a dysfunctional kind of thing, blueprint, and find
Hmm.
someone that is functional, right? And you got to be careful of that relationship in this area. This is like one-on-one here. Then they go into this, and so she is functional, but the boy was dysfunctional, right? But to him, that was kind of normal. And within 6 months, the walls come down, and all of a sudden, you kind of what you want something that's what's more familiar with you, all right?
Hmm.
You want that, you want that, you want that friction because that's what you know, all right?
Right.
And so
The
then
conflict. Yeah.
yeah, well, I'm finding this relationship boring because I'm not getting that anger, whatever it is,
Yeah.
I'm not getting that trigger.
Right.
So yeah, but you're used to that kind of environment where you were taught from to be to be living with trauma in a dysfunctional environment. But you're so used to it, so we can actually self-sabotage your own selves. You know,
Mm.
but I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that in there, right? And in relationships.
Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense because each person comes with their own baggage, and that makes sense to where you can start to kind of intertwine your own baggage together, and
Mm.
that can get messy.
Sit there.
So yeah, so I think that's why like counseling or is really important. Like if you're pursuing marriage, definitely like premarital counseling or relationship counseling. But just because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know that you're carrying that baggage, you're already at a loss because you're not even aware that you're doing something like that, or intertwining your baggage. And but
That's
no, that's I think it all comes back to self-awareness. And then if two people are very self-aware, they can, I think some of that can be avoided, as well as getting good counseling.
sit there. Now tell me about something. Do you know that everything we do has a duality? Everything we do has a silver lining.
Mm,
Um, and sometimes they say we're a mirror image of ourselves, and mirror image of ourselves, and sometimes our relationship gets, at either really you can handle it or you just can't, because
hmm
you like the mirror, your partner becomes your mirror. The mirror is the real you, the hurt one, like it's in, I don't know where I'm going with it, but
No, it's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, because I think you can see some of yourself in the other person if you carry
um,
similar traumas, or
yeah.
or baggages. So there's something I've heard of, where if you're two familiar spirits, where you have that familiar spirit of trauma or abandonment, or you know something like that, the two of you might be more likely to come together, and like
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah.
uh go into that kind of trauma bonding. So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and that to them is normal. It happens always in relationship, but they don't understand it. It escalates so bad. I mean, that's where anger kicks in, and that's where all this other nasty stuff goes on, and people are you know locked away for that kind of thing. They have family
Mm,
violence, and I think anyone listening here, anyone going into a relationship, I think they should really study themselves. Like you said, there should be more of that counseling stuff going on, relationship counseling, for,
mm,
understanding self, um,
sure.
grounding on ourselves. But I think it's also a lesson to show in relation, do we have a compassion, do we have forgiveness for
Mm,
compassion? And are we aware that there is growth in a relationship, sticking with it, but it's not easy, and
right.
if you have this past trauma bonds, and that's even weighs it even down, you know, weighs down the growth. But I think the key is communication, and
Oh yeah.
key
And
understand.
emphasizing, this is something I got from my leadership at work, but over communication is better than
Right.
under communication. So even if you're annoying someone with, you know, over communicating a point, it's better to do that than to miscommunicate.
Mm, that's it there. Yeah, most of avoid the hard talk. We avoid it, and it's necessary in a competing environment now with a lot of things going on, a lot of changes in life, computers, AI, keeping a job,
Mhm.
raising families. But yeah, I think for me, the lesson will, I've got a relationship, my ex, and that. I think for me, still, right at this age, just like just understanding that we're all individuals, and
Mhm.
um, understanding the psychology of the person you're with. Sometimes they could be slightly bipolar, OCD. There's all different kind of things. Uh,
Right.
really, really, I think loving them the best you can.
Yeah.
Uh, and I know it's like to the end, but I think there's, most of us hop out of a relationship because it gets a bit too much. It's too
Yeah.
you don't understand it. We're not going to let it go. But I guess we also have to have some reasoning. And is this good for me too? Or do I want to keep on? Do I still live with this relationship as being a threat, and past traumas could keep coming back up and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, even all relationships have an element of you know the stress factor in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Then we love each other in the process and sit with our own disturbance.
right. Yeah, it's a matter of being self-aware first and
Yeah.
having the humility to, and you do, we're individuals, but when you come together in a relationship, especially in a marriage, you more so become, one in a marriage. You're kind of like, you kind of have to put some of that independence behind as you get closer and deeper into the relationship and more and more committed. You you can't be as individualistic. You have to
Mm.
respect, the other person's desires or
Mhm.
goals as well as your own. So you have to find a common ground, enough of a common ground to have a be in a place of unity and to
Mm.
retain that.
Totally. Mate, I think we going to do some questions and answer with you, and just pick your brain. And it's been a good journey together so far, and some nice sharing. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, so some questions. What emotions are you currently experiencing, and how do they manifest in your life? Like with a relationship, can you also identify specific moments or triggers that intensify that feeling?
Mm. Yeah. Uh, definitely initially when we had decided to part ways, it was definitely a sadness,
Mm.
and part of the emotion was I know this is the right decision for the time being. So there was a sense of peace as well that hey, it's time to part ways
Yeah.
at this time, and obviously that um, I think both sides of the party will have some grieving time, and you
Mm.
know
Yeah.
uh,
Love.
it's normal when you go through a breakup,
Yeah.
but I would say just keeping yourself focused on your future is what will help propel you forward, and you know keep you positive, and time definitely heals as well, and sometimes it might take more time, sometimes less, but just making that conscious effort to focus on your future and wish the best for the other person,
Yeah.
you
Totally.
know
Yeah. That's
um,
wonderful answer. You said one thing got me there is you said there's always a lot feeling of a loss in a relationship. That time, and because there was so much bonding, a year of bonding. And that's the hard.
right.
Anytime you get close to someone, and you really you know like share our stuff, right? They share, you share, that kind of thing. Cool, that's good. That's good. Let's go to the next one. Really important in healing, right? These are healing questions for relationships, if for breakups. Um, like, how do you go about challenging your negative thoughts? Because there's a lot of negative thoughts. Uh, about yourself, about them. Did you do any reframing, reframing the thoughts? How do you go about challenging those negative thoughts that come up from the loss of something or loss of a relationship?
Yeah, when it comes to those negative thoughts, I do like the saying, and I know we were talking through having a discussion through email, and you brought up that saying, this too shall pass.
Mm.
And I think focusing on that reality that, yes, you right now, and I can think of several years ago where I was in a much tougher spot psychologically, just in a really dark place mentally, and at, just in terms of where I was at. But I'm in a lot better of a spot now. So even thinking of several years ago when I was, you know going through high school, it's a rough time, and my early 20s were just just rough, figuring it out, figuring out my where I belonged, my place in the world, and that can lead to a lot of uncertainty, doubt, dread
Mm.
of what the future holds, but I feel in a lot better of a spot, and out and a lot more peace, a place of peace than I was just several years ago. So knowing that this too shall pass, that this is temporary, and
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
if you don't like something about your current situation, you have the power to change it. So if you want to change, then you have, it's within you to do that, and that just comes down to, okay, what do I need to do every day? What habits do I need to carry out, become that person, or to see that change, So I think it all comes down to, if you don't like something about the present, take action to the best of your ability to change it and get help, because getting help is not a sign of weakness but a sign of strength.
Yeah.
So if you're not sure how to change your situation, ask for advice.
Mm.
Seek mentorship or someone in your community who can help guide you and give you some solid direction and
Mm.
advice.
Nice one. You know what? I think there's something called reframing our thoughts, negative thoughts. I mean, you said from certain age to certain age, you learn to cope with it. I think what was coming up from when you're saying that, you've learned how to reframe your negative thoughts. See the silver lining to everything, because that's how it is.
Right.
If we can't see the silver lining to something, we're always going to be spiraling backwards. But we see the silver lining, we see the light to something, we see the lesson, we learn from the lesson. And yeah, I like the way you say we've got to move forward, you know,
Mm-hmm.
more things out. It's a
Exactly.
choice. That's nice. What about, let's try another one, engage into positive activities. Now, when we're you and how long were you there in like in the loss factor in the grieving stage of the bus stop, or you have a reason, you had an agreement which is different to some relationships. Some relationships go not, but it really goes into violence, it goes into vulgar, it goes, but you had an amicable thing
Mm-hmm.
going, which is really cool. There are other relationships that can become violent, and as they're more trigger bonded and whatnot. But what was I know my nephew, when he had a relation breakdown, had a few actually. Um,
Mm-hmm.
um, there was again that the lady wanted again to move away to a different state, and
Mm-hmm.
build a house in another state was a little bit cheaper. So again, there was separation. There was a separation factor which causes anxiety. uh,
Mm-hmm.
don't think no, he didn't want it. He didn't want it. So we had two relationships like that. The ladies did come a bit harder on him. Yeah. So, well, this is
Mm-hmm.
what I need to do. No, no, we moving forward with this or not? And he said, no, thanks. You know.
Yeah.
And it's like 32 and 33 now. I think he'd be kind of your age. And yeah, he's still single and he's kind of enjoying himself, but because he was asked to make changes. He wasn't ready for those changes. Still, he didn't want to leave those comfortable zones. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I swayed on that. But I definitely want to know, like, what um what activities did you engage with to stay more positive during that time? Or what
Yeah.
fulfillment and
Going to the gym is a big one. Just getting, exercise is huge, and going deeper into my faith helped as well. So, personally reading the Bible, and I use the Bible app, and look at, go through devotionals there. So
Mm,
if you have a belief system or faith, that that definitely helps when you're going through a rough time.
mhm.
And yeah, for me, I think it's a combination of that and getting back into the community, because it's easy to isolate when you're going through a time of mourning, or just
Mm.
a rough spot. But that's the exact time when you need to lean more into community, and getting connected with others. So I would say finding a trusted community, whether that's a faith community, or a small uh, hobby group, whatever that looks like, just lean into community more than isolating, and that will help a lot.
That's it there. Yeah, I'll rephrase it. Community, faith, gym, and counseling if you can get it. That's, and also support groups. Love it. Thanks for that one. It's a good answer. What about allowed time to process? How do you currently feel about the time it takes to heal after breakup? Are you still because you're going to lose a lot of sleep, a lot of you're going to come out of your routine if we don't, solve that. So allow time to process. Yeah, honoring the
Mhm.
process, strategies that you can implement to give yourself the time and space needed to heal. So I think we mentioned the strategies there.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. It felt like a maybe 2 or 3 weeks
yeah,
of just kind of working through that, processing it, and coming to terms with it, that I'm in a new season now, and
yeah,
it's not comfortable. It's not what I've known previously, and that's okay, because
that's
that
okay.
just means yeah, that just means I'm in a new season, and that there's a new journey, you
Yeah.
know, awaiting. So,
Well,
it's just taking
that,
some time to process the loss, the parting of ways,
mm,
but also knowing that there's a regeneration that will take place, a rebirth,
yeah,
in our lives.
yeah. It all takes time to come back to the Chinese philosophy, right? Something has
Mm,
to start. There's always a change of things in the middle, and then there's always an end to everything,
right.
right? So it goes stages. Starts, there's change, movement, and sometimes it always ends. And yeah, so kind of go on working with that and the
Mm,
time that we need. And once something's ending, we need time to heal, time to allow the process. And it's
mm,
the key word is to let it all go. I mean, I think I love the way you said that comes from a favorite author of mine. He said, if you think you're going to be okay with something, you're going to be okay with it. Simple as that. But if
yeah.
you're not okay with it, then you ain't going to be with it at all. You're always fighting against it. So the moment we can
Right.
surrender to it, the faster we will heal. You know,
Mm,
time keeps moving, doesn't stop. But there's always that cycle of seasons, like you said. You know, and
right.
things will end. Things will, you get springs, you get summers, you got autumn, you got winter. Yeah.
Hmm.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, let's move on to another one. You mentioned seeking support. Um, who did we need to reach out to people, right? Who did you reach out to if you had to? Um, how can you reach out to them? And what types of support do you feel you needed at that time? Um, yeah, and can you cultivate that creates a more supportive network during these hard times? Who did you reach out to? It's important to reach out. You can't be living in,
Yeah.
right? We got to get out. Otherwise, you live
Yeah.
it,
I mean,
sleep over it, right?
right. For me, it was mostly reaching out to my family first, and
Mhm.
my parents. I'm fortunate to have them around, so reaching out to them over the phone and you know who are good friends, then I think that's important as a man, as a young man or as an older man. You need other sense of brotherhood and
Mhm.
good friends you can call on. So, and vice versa, if you're a woman or a young woman, then having some kind of sisterhood or
Absolutely.
good good friends you can call on. So it's important. If you're fortunate to have family, then they're wonderful for support. But
Yeah.
if not, if you're not in that spot, then cultivate friendships, and you'll know who your true friends are because they'll support you in those tough times. And I definitely saw my good friends, them supporting me as I reached out to them. So it was
Yes, indeed.
definitely very fortunate for that and grateful that I have those relationships.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people who are got anxiety and the world is totally different, you know.
Mm,
They got such a different world that they're feeling like they're always making trouble, always being impulsive. They can't hold on a relationship. So after a while, it's like the boy cried wolf kind of thing, like. And eventually everyone says, no, there's no wolf around you. You're just making that up, Eventually
mm,
the wolf did come up and the boy was
right.
the boy was eaten anyway, but if that makes sense. No, but
Yeah,
you're so right. And it's a blessing to have people around you. I totally agree. A problem shared is a problem halved, right?
absolutely. Being able to share the burden, with someone
We need to,
is a
yeah.
definitely a blessing.
We need to detoxify our thoughts, in that environment or whatever's going on up there. And, so yeah, let's go another one. Focus on personal growth. Like, what lessons have you learned from it's so wonderful. Actually, sometimes I'm thinking it's cool to have a relationship and it's cool to break up, for
Mm.
reasons. But yeah, I like to twist it around. So, what lessons have you learned from this breakup that could contribute to your personal growth, future endeavors, and what areas of your life do you feel ready to grow or change, and how can you set specific goals that reflect your aspirational personal development?
Yeah, I for me it's more so, I'm a bit younger in the relationship, and there's a it's easy to get, you know, to want to have this urge to travel, to move around, to,
Mm,
not be locked down to one place, or just to have the option to go somewhere and do something if that's what I want to do. And I think that's she kind of sensed that, and not that I'm not willing to settle down, you know, to an extent, but I think going into a relationship, you don't want to just go into a relationship for the sake of it. You want to have some purpose. Ideally, you're looking for something, a deeper connection, someone who you want to enjoy life with, and maybe that's not going to be for the rest of your life, but it's important to, get to know the person enough to know, hey, I want to, settle into this and make it official and enjoy life together. And really that's what a relationship is to me, is just being able to find someone who you can go on a
mm,
journey with, go on an adventure with, and enjoy a life with. And that might not be forever, it might not be for the rest of your life, but
It's
you can
it's a
enjoy it for
phase.
the season you're together,
Yeah,
you know?
that's right. Well, what I heard from you is looking for deeper connections, being flexible in a relationship, with choices, and also be adventurous, soul free spirit. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
and a deeper connection. Cool. I think it's twice. But yeah, we
And
have
I
a
think
reason. It's kind of cool. So that there was a growth sprout there for you, to understand what you need for this time, for this season. Yeah, and there's this
yeah,
conflicting kind of thing.
and I think
And then,
it's important to, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's important to also, to make sure you're on enough of a common ground, and you set the expectations for the relationship. Sometimes it's easy to go in not knowing all that you want out of it, all that you want. So I think to be fair to the other person, it's important to, you know,
yeah,
know what
a
you
lot of
want
people.
as best as you can, and to make that clear and to not have that miscommunication, because that can lead to a lot
Oh,
of, conflict and fights. So try to be clear right away as soon as possible with what you're looking for,
it's
and
cool.
that will be respectful to that,
I
show
love it.
respect to that person.
I think a lot of people just want self gratifications. They'll carry a mask, and you're so cool, and also they will not be authentic about what they want. So, I mean, a
Hmm.
lot of sometimes it's better to be single than to not, instead of being not unauthentic in a relationship. Like there's just
Right.
turmoil unless you want that trigger bonding, and you love that
Right.
trigger bonding, and that excites you, and whatnot, and it's not a cool way, because then sometimes the paddy wagon will come in there, and paddy wings police
Mhm.
officers and so on. uh, yeah, all right, so that's cool. Like what you said, that it's important to have that, anyone listening, that authenticity in a relationship. I think it's just smoother, easier, you know
Hmm.
very human beings are very complex, of course. And
Sure.
we have many ideas, and we're consistently growing. And yeah, that's seasonal. And also, the ego's got a lot to play with our mental psyche. It's involved in everything, right?
Hmm.
It's involved
Absolutely.
aspiration, success, and fail, all three in a row. And it drives us to all those areas. It actually sabotages us to fall. Even we might be in a nice, cushy relationship, but there's always that other side, the duality of life that we don't get.
Right.
We don't. The key is we don't see the silver lining. So imagine being trained up to see the silver lining and everything. And I just love
Mm.
the season kind of thingy.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's the.
Amazing. Okay. Let's say I, I read something in our communication. You said new beginnings. So I want to go with that. Embrace your
Okay.
new beginnings. What new beginnings do you envision for yourself after the breakup? Can you shift your perspective to view changes as an opportunity, silver linings, rather than a loss? Because that's where grieving is loss. And what actions can you take to actively pursue new experience in your relationship?
Yeah. So, it's important when you're parting ways to have that time of healing, of mourning, of accepting, and then once you've had that time, moving your focus towards the future, and what are you looking for, what do you want to create out of your future, and then taking those steps to make that a reality, and if it's one step at a time, what habits, what daily action plans do you need in place to work towards that. So yeah, I would say, don't get stuck in the past,
Yeah,
and you definitely accept that it happened, and then
yeah,
be at peace with in the present, and then have your eyes set on the future as well, as to what you want, what you want to build in your future, and then just working towards that, one day at a time,
Yeah.
and while you're also working on being present in the moment and taking those action plans to create and cultivate your that you're looking for.
Nice, nice, good one. What's come up for me from that answer is accept it. I love what you said that find your peace immediately as soon as possible, but positive distractions are kind of everything, to get you don't
Sure.
keep looping too much because you're going to lose a lot of sleep. You're going to lose like
Mm.
weeks of it if you're not careful of it. And yeah, I think everything has a grieving, everything has a loss and seasonal. Nice, mate. Let's have a look at this one. What about create a vision for the future? How do you see your life evolving now in the next 6 months or later? Dreams that you want to focus on, move forward. How can you visualize your ideal future now that you've learned so much about yourself, and what steps can you take to make it a reality?
Sure, that's a great question. So, I think it's focusing on the small community that I have. The have a Discord group and an email community where we're supporting each other. It's focused around, seeking holistic holistic solutions to depression, to, supporting each other through, just being empathetic and sort of a peer support community. And so I think my focus is building upon that and expanding that and just continuing to reach out and help others the best I can, because that's when we're truly fulfilled, when we are, living for the benefit of others is where true fulfillment comes from. It's not necessarily in the luxuries that you can earn in life. It's
Mhm.
it the true fulfillment is in reaching out to your fellow man and finding ways to help them, and that's it's really going to create meaning in the
Totally.
world.
Absolutely. What's coming up for me is the love vibration, and every you always kind of finish up. Spiritual people always say like love and light, brother, love and light. I mean, that's just so much, living in the light.
Right,
Once you get enough light in yourself, it's your responsibility to give it back and pass it on.
right.
And that's the true meaning
Absolutely.
of life for me. And I'm guessing
Sure.
I'm hearing you, and I think I'm, the same page here.
Yeah.
So sharing that light. Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
whatever ways, whatever community you have, brotherhood, sisterhood. Man, I belong to a men's group, and I have a great time. We meditate, we breathe, we do all these kind of things. But we're always, when we're there, we're all just engaged in that love vibration, which is very uplifting. And yeah, I think it helps if someone's going through a breakdown or whatever. It doesn't have to be that. You just have that connection. Yeah,
Sure.
nice one. What about we're going for one last question. Practice gratitude, right? What aspect of your life are you grateful despite the challenge you're faced or facing? And can you incorporate gratitude practices in your daily routine? And what positive experience or relationships have you emerged from the difficult times by just being grateful to the experience from that other person?
Yeah, that's a great one. So
Mhm.
I think it's super important, especially if you're in more of a quote unquote first world country, to appreciate
Mhm.
the necessities. That necessities are a luxury. So if you have food, you have water, fresh water, you have
Mhm.
clothing, you have a shelter over your head, you're rich.
Absolutely.
So starting there and not taking that for granted at all,
Yep.
and then if you're blessed enough to have those necessities, that's excellent, and you should always know that you can grow and become more,
Hmm.
but it's not necessarily about acquiring more. It's about the being grateful for where you're at in your journey, what you do have, and if you have those basic life necessities, that's a blessing, and acknowledging that. But
Mhm.
also knowing that you can grow and you can become and achieve great things. Having that mindset to where you know believing you can truly do anything, though that sounds cliche.
No, no, no,
That
no, 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 no.
yeah,
I'm not correct. No, no, that's a no. Look, you. It's not a cliche because that's something that
yeah,
it's self-belief, leaning into your own self-belief. We are so
right,
limited in our making, in our psychology, in our blueprints that we don't believe it, even though but it does drag us towards that, whatever it is for you, for us, for me. We're so dragged
mhm,
towards it, and you can't stop. You actually get a little bit excited, anxious about the idea that this is all possible. I love to give it.
right,
I'm anxious about it, but I'm not gonna give it a go because
right,
the foundation of isn't built in that belief system, right? So
right.
that's a,
Yeah, you
that's another
you
story.
have to. So much of the battle is in the mind, but
Battle of the mind.
even if it's a delusional
Hmm.
belief, if you have to start there,
Yeah,
knowing that,
totally. Oh man.
and
Hmm.
but it
Experience. Yeah.
have the belief, but then you have to implement the logic to where, okay, this is how I'm going to reverse engineer that
Yeah.
plan to achieve that. So, and maybe you need to seek out counseling or mentorship to help you do that. But you know
Mm-hmm.
and you will need to seek that out. You can't do it all by yourself either. So,
No.
so I would say, if you can surround yourself with people who already are where you want to be, that is a fantastic start, because we're, a product of our environment. And there's that saying, you're the sum of the five people you most
Oh yeah.
hang around, or spend your time with.
Yep. Where,
So,
where your
so
focus goes, is that where your attention goes? Some the other way around, whatever. But
right.
yeah.
Yeah, if you can cultivate your environment and be around uh, other folks who have already arrived, or achieved what you want to achieve, that's a great starting point.
Yeah.
And maybe that means, um, uh, finding ways to seek them out, whether that's through social media, or you move to a bigger city, or where you can find those and build those relationships. But starting there, I think that's super powerful.
Yeah. Life should be an adventure, and that's what we need to do, and take a leap of faith. Yeah, all right. So that was cool. So we practiced the gratitude. I still like the what positive experiences of relationship have you emerged from the difficult times. There's always a silver lining to everything, and we're going to be open to that. And I love the way we went into on a deeper level that it's there's a wall between what we want to believe and what we can't believe, and we need to. It's all
Mm,
about the experience. Once we move through the experience, and it's experience that's going to allow us to move forward and give us that positive creative energy. I think you also come up with also while you were expressing, I also thought about the moment we surrender to our obsessions, right? The moment we
mm,
surrender to the obsessions, or again, it comes back to the where's the book? Where's the book? Somewhere here. Oh yeah, it comes back to this book here. Right, ego is my enemy. And as soon as we can
mhm.
understand what ego is, man, things will be just sailing from then on. Um, yeah, so yeah, it is. It is like the way you said, it is a bit delusional, right? Because
You
there's
might have to
always
start out there.
yeah, and understanding the science of the science of life, the science of perception, science of psychology. I think any relationship, any kind of relationship, it's easier to travel with. Uh,
Hmm.
all right, my friend. I think that's a wrap, man. That's a wrap.
Awesome.
Is there any things you'd like to share before we part, or till next time?
I think that about sums it up. But I think a good way to wrap it up is, you know, if you're going through a breakup or a change in seasons, first be grateful for appreciate where you're at and know that,
Mm,
you know, you can create and build the future, you're looking for, and you could do that by surrounding yourself with the right people and reverse engineering what others did to get there, and
mm,
knowing that you're not restricted to your current state, to your current environment, knowing that it can change, that this too shall pass, and
yeah.
taking it one day at a time and one step at a time.
Yeah. Joey, again, it's been such a good pleasure. I think we definitely opened the can of whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I'm definitely anyone listening to this, I think anyone that taps in on the universe and taps into our conversation, they'll see,
Yeah,
they'll get to know a little bit more about relationships and through our experiences and what you've gone through and in the last month or two. And yeah, life is interesting. It's complex, but it should be a
yeah,
lot of fun. And we should have more light in life, right?
absolutely.
Instead of
That's
being,
the key.
it depends where you see it, how you see it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, that's it there, and it's such a pleasure to have you. And mate, I look forward to
Nice, yeah.
doing it again sometime on a different topic. And yeah, by the way, before we go, how can people get in touch with you and tell me more about like what are you working on at the moment? And yeah.
Yeah. So, the mental health or community that I'm, cultivating,
Mm,
leading, you can go to empathymind.com, and that's where you can sign up to join our Discord group, and that's basically just an online community, sort of like a peer support group for those who are dealing with depression, and even if that's just general sadness, you're looking for support
mm,
and holistic ways of addressing that,
mm.
first and foremost with the community aspect, but we're also looking at, self-care, looking at our sleep habits, what, nutrition. So looking into those holistic ways of addressing depression as well. So that's essentially what the community is focused on. So you can go to empathymind.com and join the Discord group if that's something you want to be a part of.
That's great. I'll also leave your details and the your website so people can join
Appreciate it.
in. Pleasure, Joey. Thank you for that, matey. Yeah, look forward to putting this on YouTube and yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to rejoining down the
It's
line.
been my pleasure, matey, and very, very cool stuff. All right. Well, we got to go until next time, Joey. So such a pleasure for you, brother. So that's nice, mate. You're full of knowledge and I feel enlightened. So thank you for sharing, sharing
Me
with
too. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's
mm,
good having that talk.
me too, man. All right, my friend. Well, we better scoot now, and I'll yeah, until next time. Cool.
Okay. See you next time.
Okay, see you next time. I'll just yep. I'm sure you want to stop recording.